Hello. So in today's lecture number 13, we will discuss about root locus method, which is used to analyze a system's output response graphically. With a graphical method, you can predict about the system's behavior. So first start with the introduction about root locus analysis or root locus method. So it is important to know that how the closed loop poles. As you know that closed loop poles are nothing but the roots of the characteristic equation, which is obtained by putting the denominator of the transfer function equals to 0. So when you solve that equation, characteristic equation, you get the closed loop poles. So it is important that you should know that how these poles move in the S plane as the loop gain k is varied. Okay, so you have some S plane. So you have some poles in this S plane, one, two, and maybe many poles. So these poles will definitely change if some parameters of the characteristic equation are changed. So it is interesting to see their movement in this S plane so that you can predict about the behavior of output as well as stability of output, because if you change the system parameter, a particular parameter, these poles location will change, and there may be a case that these poles will move towards the right hand side of this imaginary axis. In that case, system will become unstable. Okay, so you can predict that by drawing a root locus for different poles. So this method, a simple method for finding the roots of the characteristic equation, was developed by Evans, and that is called root locus method. And this method is one in which the roots of the characteristic equation, in fact, roots of characteristic equations are poles actually, are plotted for all values of the system parameter. And that parameter is generally gain. We shall assume that the gain of the open loop transfer function is that parameter. Okay, unless other parameter is specified. If it is saying that you have to vary this particular parameter, then you have to take that in consideration. Otherwise, if nothing is specified, then generally we vary the gain. Okay, vary the gain to be verified through all values, and that gain values varies from 0 to infinity. Okay, in this way we can say that root locus is the locus of roots, or you can say locus of closed loop poles. Closed loop poles of the characteristic equation of the closed loop system as the gain is varied from 0 to infinity. By using root locus method, the control designer can predict the effects on the location of closed loop poles of varying gain value or adding open loop poles or open loop zeros. So why we use actually root locus? We can predict the effects, how the closed loop poles will be affected. For example, these are my closed loop poles. Okay, how these closed loop poles will be affected if k is varied. Okay, if k is varied from 0 to infinity. Also, how these poles will be, first thing, how these poles will be affected if k is varied, and how these poles will be affected if I add some open loop poles or zeros in the system. Okay, you can analyze that. Let's try to understand this thing with some examples, numerical example. Before that, there are some set of steps we need to follow in order to obtain the root locus for a given system. So you start with the open loop system. First, you consider the open loop poles of the system. So you locate those open loop poles and zeros in S plane. Okay, plane of real and imaginary axis. You already know what is this S plane. It is having sigma, say, real axis, and j omega is your imaginary axis, where j is nothing but it is imaginary quotient complex, like it is -1. J is nothing but minus under the root -1 complex. So poles are generally represented by a cross sign, and the zeros are represented by a small circle. You know very well this thing, we have already discussed. So this is the first step. You locate all the open loop poles and zero. If you are having 1 0 1 pole, you just locate those open loop poles. Now determine root locus on the real axis. This is my real axis. Okay. You have to find first root locus on this axis. At which location we will have this locus on this real axis. Okay. So a point on the real axis lies on the root locus if the number of open loop poles and zeros on the right hand side of that point is an odd number. Quite complicated to understand, but I am telling that if you have this particular zero, particular point, okay, it can be a 0 or it can be a 4. You just count how many points are there on the right hand side of this 0. If I look, there is no 0 or no pole on the right hand side of this point, so I can say 0 points are there. Okay, so it is not an odd number, so there will not be any root locus. But when I look at this point, there are how many points on the right hand side of this point? One is this, only one point is there, so one is an odd number, so there will be a root locus between these 2 points. This is how we calculate root locus on real axis. Third step, after completing the second step, you go to the third one to find the centroid of the asymptote. Asymptotes are nothing but the lines which are going to infinity. Okay, ending on infinity. The asymptotes should start at a particular point. So you should know where that point is, whether this point is here, here, here. So particular centroid from where this asymptote lines which are going to infinity should start. That is called centroid. You can use this mathematical formula for that centroid. Summation of poles minus summation of zeros divided by number of poles minus number of zeros. Okay. This formula you can use in order to calculate centroid. Come to the step 4. Once you know my asymptotic lines will start from, I got the centroid. Okay, I got the centroid. From here it will start, but I don't know at which angle this this asymptote will start. It will go like this, like this, like this. What is the angle? This theta. I need to know this theta. So in first step, we determine these angles of asymptotes, and we use this formula like theta is equals to 2q plus 1 multiplied by 180 degree p minus z. The answer will be in degree only, not in the radian. Okay. So this Q varies from 0 to P minus Z minus 1. You put this number of poles minus number of zeros minus 1, it will be giving you end value of this Q starting from 0 to P minus Z minus 1. Once you get this angle theta, you know the asymptotes, that this will be starting from centroid and at a particular angle theta. Now there are two concepts of breakaway or break-in point. Means if you have some root locus, it is going outside or it is coming inside, something like that you have to clear. So for that, in order to find at what is the point from where this locus will go outward or coming inward, so that point we need to define. For that, you use this derivative. Means you calculate your k, gain k from your closed loop transfer function, characteristic equation. You can calculate k, and then you take derivative of this k with respect to complex variable s. From this equation, you can calculate the point from where it will go breakaway or break-in. So how it works? For poles, in case of poles, the locus goes away from the poles. Okay, and the breakaway point is calculated. For example, if you are having a pole, your root locus will go from the pole towards the asymptote. Okay, and if in case you are looking at a 0, it will go towards the 0. Suppose it is coming from somewhere from the infinity and it will go towards the 0. Okay, so the locus goes towards the 0 and break-in point is calculated. Okay, and finally, once you have these values, you can simply draw the root locus, and this root locus will be parallel to your asymptotes. So whatever asymptotes you have calculated, your root locus will be parallel to that. Let's try to understand this problem where we have this system. So system transfer function is given by s plus 1 divided by s plus 2, s plus 4, s plus 9. Okay, and this is the gain, controller gain, okay, which will be applied as an input to control input to our system in order to get some reference value rs, isn't it? It is a closed loop system when you consider this feedback. So you know very well what will be the open loop system, say open loop transfer function GOS. It will be the multiplication of gain with the system. Okay, this is my open loop transfer function. So this k will be multiplied here. So it will be k into s plus 1, s plus 6 divided by s plus 2, s plus 4, s plus 9. And also you can simply calculate the closed loop transfer function. You know very well that open loop transfer function divided by 1 plus open loop transfer function multiplied by the feedback gain. So here the feedback is unity. There is no feedback block. So HS will be equals to 1 because feedback is unity. So G0S, GOS, this is your open loop transfer function. You put this value here, you put this value here, and HS is equals to 1. When you put these values, you get finally the closed loop transfer function here. Clear? Now we start with the step 1. Step 1 is locate your open loop poles and zeros in S-plane. Okay, so open loops transfer function is this one. Okay, we will use this open loop transfer function. From here, open loop 0 will be -6, isn't it? The zeros are obtained by putting numerator is equals to 0. So when you put this value 0, s plus 6, so you have your 0, z is equals to -6. And for poles, you put denominator equals to 0. You get the poles, which are nothing but the roots of this characteristic equation, not the characteristic equation generally you obtain when you have closed loop transfer function. So So open loop poles will be -2, -4, -9. You locate these poles and zeros in S plane. Okay. So this is your real axis. This is vertical imaginary axis. This is 0. So first one is -6. So since it is a 0, we put a circle here at -6. Then -4, 2, -4, -9, -2 poles by a cross sign, -4 by a cross sign, -9 by a cross sign, which are representing open loop poles. First step is completed. Come to the second step. Determine root locus on the real axis highlighted in red in the above figure. Okay, so root locus on that axis. As I told you, look, first point is this -2. On the right hand side of -2, is there any point? No point. So there is no root locus. Come to -4. Look on the right hand side of -4. How many points are there? Only one point is there, -2. Okay. So 1 is an odd number. So there will be some root locus between -2 and -4. Look at 6. On the right hand side of -6, you have 2 points, -4 and -2, which is an even number. So there will be no root locus between -6 to -4. Look at -9, right hand side of -9. How many points are there? 1, 2, 3. And 3 is an odd number. So there will be one root locus between 9 to 6. So we have this highlighted, which I highlighted in red. These are root locus on the real axis. Clear? Third point. Now you calculate the centroid. Centroid is nothing but center of the asymptote, from which point the asymptote will start. So this is the formula, summation of P poles. We have -2, -4, -9. So we take summation of these poles minus summation of zeros. 0, I have only -6. So we take summation of this. Divided by number of poles. How many poles are there? 3 poles are there. And how many zeros are there? Only 1 0 is there. 3 minus 1. So you get centroid at -4.5. So between 4 -6, there will be centroid, say -4.5. So from this point, centroid will start. Okay. Sorry, centroid will be -4.5, and from this 4.5, our asymptotes will start. Asymptotes are lines which are going to infinity. Now I don't know at which angle it will start, at this angle, at this angle, or at this angle. For that, I need to calculate the angle of asymptotes. So angle of asymptotes, we get this 2q plus 1 multiplied by 180 divided by p minus z. And value of q varies from 0 to p minus z minus 1. So p, number of poles 3, number of zeros 1, -1. So I get 1. So value of q will vary from 0 to 1. When I put value of q is equals to 0, I get 90 degree. When I put q is equals to 1, the theta value is calculated as 270 degree. So angle is also clear. Centroid is also clear. Okay. So at 4.5, we have this centroid. Okay. So from the real axis in anti-clockwise manner, you measure 90 degree, first angle, and the second angle is 270 degree. From the real axis, you measure 270 degree. Okay. And you draw asymptote. So first asymptote is starting from centroid. It will go at 90 degree. Another one will go at 270 degree. So I have two asymptote A1 and A2. Clear? Now we know that the root locus will be parallel to these asymptotes. Always the root locus will be parallel to A1 and A2, but we don't know from where the root locus will start. So we need to calculate the breakaway and break-in points in step 5. So away point is for poles actually. So means from the pole, you go away from the pole towards the asymptote. Okay. And in case of zeros, you are coming from some infinity and goes towards the zero. So it is called break-in point. This point is break-in point, and this point is break away point. Okay. To calculate this, first we calculate this k value. Okay. From the closed loop transfer function, this k value you have to calculate it from closed loop, not from the open loop transfer function. Okay. Our open loop transfer function is this. Okay. While closed loop transfer function is this is open loop and closed loop is this. So from this closed loop transfer function, you have to calculate value of k. Clear? So from here, the characteristic equation will be this is equals to 0. This will be your characteristic equation, closed loop characteristic equation. Okay, from the closed loop transfer function. When you put this is equals to 0, you can simply calculate your k. This will be equals to this one. Okay, and now use this formula. You take derivative of this k with respect to complex variable s and equate is equals to 0. Now this derivative is quite difficult, okay, because here you will be having this s cube. So dk over ds will be a polynomial of cubic, so it is difficult to obtain roots manually. Therefore you can use MATLAB or you can use some calculator in order to calculate roots of this cubic equation. First, this is k, we take derivative of this. So as you know, derivative of a division, how you take, uh, as I remember that for the denominator square, so here it will be s plus s s plus 6 square, as I remember. Then you keep your denominator as it is, s plus 6. Okay, and you take derivative of your numerator, derivative of this thing, and then some minus, I think your numerator is as it is, and you put your you take derivative of your denominator. So the same formula we applied here. So denominator is square, denominator as it is, numerator derivative. Okay, then numerator as it is, and denominator derivative here. Clear? So in this way you can calculate dk over ds. Okay, so this dk over ds you put is equals to 0, you get this cubic equation, and you need to find the roots of this equation. So a little bit difficult task to obtain this break in and break away point. Until step 4 it was very easy, but step 5 a little bit difficult, because you have to deal with this closed loop transfer function. Then you have to get your k value using this characteristic equation, and then you take the derivative of this k value, dk by ds, put equals to 0, then you get a cubic equation, you get the root of that cubic equation, because for a cubic equation you cannot use the Sridharacharya formula. We need that is applicable only to second order system. So here it is a cubic equation. So you get these roots, maybe some MATLAB or some computer, you get this S1, S2, S3. And these root must lie on the root locus. So root locus on the real axis we calculated between -2 to 4 and -6 to -9, and these are our asymptote A1 and asymptote A2. Clear? If you look at this -6, this thing, this is a complex root, and it will be somewhere say -6 something somewhere here, and j value is 1.9 j. So it will be somewhere here. So it is not on the this root, and this root do not lie on the root locus on real axis. So this must be lying on the root locus on real axis. But when I look this minus 3.086, it will be lying between -2 to -4. So somewhere here I can get this point. Okay. And from the pole, it will, as you know, it will be a breakaway point because it is between the poles. So it will be leaving from the poles like this, from this pole like this, and it will go towards the asymptote and become parallel to asymptote A2 as well as the parallel to asymptote A1. Okay. We need to just draw one side of the real axis. For example, if you draw upper half of the real axis, this one, the lower half will be the mirror image of that. Clear? So in this way, this is your root locus. Okay, this way it is drawn. Easy. Okay. Now I want to check whether my drawn root locus is correct or not. You can check in MATLAB. In MATLAB, you simply type R locus in bracket. You put numerator and denominator. You define your numerator of open loop transfer function. Here we will use open loop transfer function, not the closed loop. You define numerator of your open loop transfer function and denominator of your open loop transfer function, and this is the command, and simply you can get the root locus, and it is in MATLAB. You can see here it is the same thing. Between -2 to -4 we have root locus. Between -6 to infinity, up to infinity, you have this root locus, and your breakaway point is between this -2 and -4, somewhere -3 point something, and it will go like this parallel to your asymptote. Clear? So from the MATLAB, we have verified that our results, which we have obtained from the manual calculation by hand, are verified, okay, with the MATLAB also. Let's take a simple example for further exercise. You have this open loop transfer function where k is gain. Okay? If I put a 1 here, your k gain will be here. Okay? Now we have to draw the root locus of this system in order to see how the closed loop poles move in S-plane when I change this k value from 0 to infinity. Okay. So without gain, this will be the your open loop transfer function without gain. Here also in MATLAB, I would say that when you put this numerator and denominator, you put your transfer function, open loop transfer function without any gain value. Okay. You don't consider the gain value in MATLAB. So let's start with the very quickly because we have already discussed. Here we will move quickly for with the step 1, open loop transfer function. Clear? This is my open loop transfer function. I write here. So how many poles are there? S is equals to 0, S is equals to -1, S is equals to -2. 3 poles I got. And there is no S coefficient, so zeros are nil. There is no 0. Second, determine root locus on real axis. First, you locate these poles and zeros. There is no 0. So I have 3 poles. First one is 0. Second one is -1. Third is -2. Okay. 3 poles I located on the real axis. You check right of this first pole. How many points are there? No point is there. So 0 point is there. 0 is neither odd nor even. So we don't have any root locus on right of this. Now, right hand side of this point, I see only 1 point there. 1 is an odd number, so there will be a root locus between these 2 points. Then right hand side of -2, I have 2 points, -1 and 0, which is an even number, so there will be no locus. So root locus on real axis will be between 0 and -1. Third step, find the centroid. Summation of poles 0, -1, -2, minus number of 0, 0, 3 minus, sorry, it will be the 0 because there is no 0. So here you will be having -3 divided by 3, you have -1. So centroid will start from the -1 itself. Now centroid is here. I need to calculate the angle of asymptote. So angle of asymptote, first find the value of P. So P will be P minus Z minus 1. I have 3 poles. I have no 0. I have this is -1. So I get 2. So Q value will vary from 0 to 2, means 0, 1, 2. When I put Q value is equals to 0 in this equation, I get theta is equals to 60 degree. When I put Q is equals to 1, I get theta is equals to 180 degree. When I put Q is equals to 2, I get theta is equals to -60 degree. So there will be 3 asymptotes, say A1, A2, A3. So at 60 degree and start from the -1, there will be first asymptote A1, second asymptote at 180 degree. Say this is my asymptote number 2, which is starting from the -1. Okay, it will start from -1. This will also start from third one, -1, which is -60 degree. Okay, so 3 asymptotes A1, A2, A3 are done. Next step, I need to calculate the breakaway or break-in point. For that, I know closed loop transfer function is this one, okay, given by this. As you know that this is open loop transfer function, GS divided by 1 plus GS HS. So this is my open loop GOS 1 plus GOX multiplied by HS. HS is 1. Okay. So this is my closed loop transfer function GCS. So characteristic equation will be the denominator equating to 0. So this is my characteristic equation. And from this characteristic equation, I can calculate this K value. So K is equals to this one, which is easier to take the derivative of this K. So derivative of this K will be the 3s square, 6s plus 2. Okay, this one I put is equals to 0. It is a simple quadratic equation. Easily you can calculate the roots S1 and S2. These are the roots. Now check whether these roots lie on the identified root locus on the real axis. So we identified that root locus on real axis will be between -1 to 0 only. -1 to 0. So between -1 to 0, this root cannot exist because it will be out of the scope. Okay, -1.5, it will be somewhere here, which is not on the root locus because we have root locus between 0 to -1. But this point will be on the root locus, so we consider this point here. So it will be something somewhere here, 0.422, -0.422. So from this point, our root locus will start, and since it is between these poles, so it will be break away. So from here, it will go to this point. From here, it will go to this point, and then it will move parallel to asymptote. So this is my asymptote. This is my asymptote. So it will go parallel to my asymptotes like this. Okay. Clear? So as the K value from here, K value 0 to K value infinity, we see the roots closed loop poles. So if you look at this particular point, if closed loop poles goes out of this particular point, the system is unstable. Okay, because you go to the right hand side of the imaginary axis. Okay, so at this point, I'm interested to get that what is should be the value of K that after which system will become the unstable, because below this value system is stable. Here it is stable, here it is stable, but the moment it cuts the imaginary axis, it becomes unstable. Okay, so I want to calculate at what point imaginary axis is cut. So the crossing point on the imaginary axis can be found by putting simply s is equals to j omega in the characteristic equation. So characteristic equation is this one. Okay, this is my characteristic equation. Okay, this one. When you solve it, you will have like this equation, and you put simply s is equals to j omega. So j omega cube, 3j omega square, 2j omega plus k, and equate the real and imaginary parts equals to 0. So here, because it is a cubic, so under the root minus 1, cube of this will be what? It will be minus 1 only. Cube of this will be minus 1. So omega cube into minus 1. Here it will be omega cube into minus 1, which is a real number. So omega cube uh, here, okay, sorry, it will be an imaginary number. So minus 1 into j, omega cube into minus j. Okay, so this is omega cube minus omega cube into j, and this square will become the real number. So here you will have 3 omega square, and this is also again imaginary number 2j omega. So 2j omega here, k is a real number here. So we separate real and imaginary parts. So we put real part is equals to 0, imaginary part is equals to 0, and by solving this from here you can get the omega value. Simply omega will be plus minus under the root 2, or omega will be 0. When you put this omega is equal to plus minus 2 here, you get the k value is equals to 6, and when you put omega is equals to 0 here, you get the k value is equals to 0. Clear? So this is your point where it cuts the imaginary axis. So at this point, k value will be 6, okay, or you can say minus 6 here. Okay. K value will be 6. So beyond that value, your system will become unstable. Okay. And omega value at this particular point, omega value will be plus root 2 and minus root 2. Okay. Thus, root loci cross the imaginary axis at omega is equals to plus minus root 2. Okay, and the value of k at the crossing point is 6. Also, a root locus branch on the real axis touches the imaginary axis and omega is equals to 0. Also, here omega is equals to 0, and at this point k is 0. Okay, at this point k is 0 when omega is 0. Okay, the value of k is 0 at this point. Okay. So here we see the transformation from k is equals to 0 to k is equals to infinity, how the poles of the systems are moving. Okay, the moment when k is 6, your poles moves outside the moves to the right side of the imaginary axis, and system becomes unstable. So using this pictorial representation, graphical representation, you can draw the root locus and describe or predict the behavior of the output of your system. In MATLAB, if you want to check whether our drawn this root locus is correct or not, you can check in MATLAB. Simply, this was our function, open loop transfer function without gain. Okay. So numerator you define, numerator there is no coefficient of s. Okay, s square coefficient is 0. Sorry, s cube coefficient is 0 in numerator, s square coefficient is 0, s coefficient is 0, and constant term is 1. In denominator, s cube coefficient 1, s square coefficient 3, s coefficient 2, and constant term is 0. So you define numerator and denominator. Simply write this one line command r locus numerator comma denominator. When you enter this command in MATLAB, we get this root locus, and you can see which is exactly whatever we achieved through our manual method. Okay, through our manual method. So point 0.4226, okay. And between 0 to 1 we have root locus. So here also you can see between 0 to 1, 0 to minus 1, you have root locus, and at point 4 or minus 0.4 we start our root locus. Okay, also we have root locus on this side. Clear? So using these methods you can obtain root locus of any system, which will be very helpful for analyzing a linear control system. This is the book reference. Thank you.